When I said publicly in 1991 that the Earth was a living entity that we could communicate with and could communicate with us, people just dubbed me crazy. And now we're seeing scientists who have studied this coming to the same conclusion.
Yes.
The bottom line is this: everything is conscious. What we call creation is like an ocean of infinite energy, which is manifesting itself in different forms. It's like we may perceive ourselves as droplets, if you like, individuals. But if you put a droplet in the ocean, where does the droplet end and the ocean start? The ocean is the droplet is the ocean, and it's the same with us. You may look as you do, I may look as I do, that wall may look as it does, but they're all expressions of the same energy field, manifesting in different ways. So, of course, the planet itself is a living, thinking, emotional entity. And we are interacting with that energy field. And one of the things the Illuminati have set out to do and are trying ever more to do in the period we're experiencing now is to bring the vibrational state of the Earth's field, the Earth's consciousness, to as low a point as they can. Because we, as human beings, are living in that energy field. And it's very simple. If you affect the sea, you affect that which lives in the sea. And so the more that they can lower the vibrational state of the planet, the more it becomes, if you like, treacle-like density. The more we living in that energy field are pulled into that state. And when you have the wars and the environmental destruction and all these things that cause tremendous negative emotional energy, then you are lowering the vibrational state of the planet, you're lowering the vibrational state of the people, and you're basically holding them in a vibrational prison, which makes it much more difficult, not impossible, but much more difficult for them to hold connection out into the infinite beyond, where they can be in this world, but not of it in terms of their perspective of reality. If you disconnect people and hold them in this density, hold them in this illusory reality, they are in this world and they are also of it. And therefore, the only information that they have to get a fix on how they see life themselves and reality in general is through the eyes and the ears. And who controls that? The Illuminati control that through what we laughingly call the education system, the mainstream media across the planet. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to disconnect us from multidimensional infinity so that we don't see the world from that perspective and therefore see through the illusion and see through the nonsense and see through the lies. And then once they've disconnected people, they then program this lower level of our consciousness with a reality that suits them. And this is why people who have had a different perspective on life, a different perspective on reality, who have held that connection to some extent out into the infinite, and have expressed that view, expressed that vision of reality and possibility here, they're the ones that are dubbed crazy, lunatics, and dangerous. Why? Not because they are, but because from the point of consciousness that they are perceiving this world, to people who are here, the vast majority, that is just crazy. I mean, if you said to people, is that table solid? They say, of course it is. Well, it isn't. It can't be. It's made of atoms, right? And atoms are not solid. Tell me how it does that. Our minds do that by turning vibrational fields into apparently physical objects. The denser the vibration, the slower the vibration, the more dense that we decode that into what appears to be a physical object. And so someone who's out there and can perceive that sees the world in a completely different way. And because it's different to the norm and the mass norm, which is programmed into people from cradle to grave, they're just isolated and called crazy. When in fact, they're the people we need to listen to.
Yeah, and I remember Stanley Messenger. He said to me once that there are no objects, there are no things. Everything that, like for example, the wooden table, everything is an event, because once that was a tree, and in years to come that will be thrown away into a skip and it'll end up decomposing somewhere. We don't perceive that as an event because it's happening on a slow scale. But there are no things, there are only events.
Well, that table was once a tree, and when it was a tree, it was an illusion. Now it's a different kind of illusion, and when it's thrown on the scrap heap and goes back to energy as it decomposes, then it will still be an illusion. And this is for me, if you're talking about how we're controlled, how the few control the many. If you can suppress the information that people receive in terms of what is possible, you to the same rate suppress their perception of what is possible. Okay, now once you have accepted that what we're told is possible is how it is, then you're living in a box that big. So anyone that starts to talk about things that are beyond that perception of possibility, you immediately dismiss them as crazy. And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. A few centuries ago, when people said the Earth was a sphere, they were perceived as crazy and dangerous. And one of the reasons was that if you lived on the bottom of a ball, you would fall off, right? Now, once you introduce the law of gravity, what appears at first sight to be a nonsensical idea becomes perfectly logical. However, if you suppress at that time knowledge of the law of gravity, then people are going to dismiss the truth because they can't perceive that the truth can be possible. And when you're talking about entities that shapeshift, that appear and disappear, UFOs that appear and disappear, if you program the population to believe that this world is all there is, that this is a solid world of solid individual objects, then the idea of things appearing and disappearing or shape-shifting from one state to another, to that sense of perception, is totally ludicrous. But once you introduce the suppressed knowledge, which is that this world is not solid, and what we're living in is basically symbolically a radio station, in terms of all the radio and television stations broadcasting to this place now are all existing in the space that I'm sitting in. I can't see them. They are not aware of each other unless they're really close on the dial, because they're on different frequencies. And if I'm on or something else is on a different frequency, a seriously different frequency to that wall, then I can walk through it, or something else can walk through it. Just as if I turn my radio on now, I tune into a radio frequency broadcast that's coming through this wall or this window. And so this reality that we think is so solid and all that there is actually like a radio station. And this physical body, this holographic illusion, locks us in, tunes us in like a radio to this radio station, to this reality.